looked at me and said, "Do you know Carrie Roberts?" And I said, "Matter of fact, I do." And she said, "Anybody who knows Carrie Roberts wouldn't say that."
Even at the time of John O'Keefe's death, Karen Reed already knew Carrie Roberts of being a demon and not a friend.
You've handled a number of them. Gave you some idea to the hospital when you went to 2020. Of course, even after of 23, did you not? Do you remember that question? Is it? Yes. 3 years later. When you got there, you learned your patient was to be Karen Reed, correct?
Yes.
Why is he hesitating?
Getting more information is always better than getting less information, correct?
Not necessarily.
Oh my God.
So you are not qualified to diagnose hypothermia, are you?
I'm not a doctor.
And you don't know if your assumption about hypothermia was correct or incorrect.
Is my assumption correct?
Let the jury pick up the pieces and say there was no collision. There was collusion. Holy crap. Talk about a theme for the case. If I was the defense, that's what I would do.
You previously testified 3 times about this topic, correct?
I believe it would be the grand jury and the previous trial.
Right.
Oh! Whoa! What just happened? Are you serious? He just brought in the previous trial. The jury now knows. Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Buckle Up, It's the Law, folks. Today we are continuing with our saga of dissecting, pulling apart, and disassembling the witnesses in the Karen Reed retrial in April 2025. Today we have the luxury of dissecting Whitley, Daniel Whitley, a paramedic / firefighter. We are going to compare and contrast his testimony from 2024 to his testimony in 2025. Without further ado, let's go.
Mr. Whitley, when you showed up, you learned that Karen Reed was the patient that you were to deal with, correct?
Correct.
And it was your expectation that she would be going to the hospital, correct?
Correct.
This is trial number 1.
One of the things that you do when you transport somebody to the hospital is you try to get a medical history, correct?
Yep.
Why is that important?
Generally, we get pertinent medical history to pass on to the hospital. So if something were to happen where the patient wasn't able to describe their past medical history, it gets passed on to the next caregiver, which would be the nurses, doctors at the hospital.
Okay. More information is always better than less information, correct?
I would say so.
And with regard to Ms. Reed, did you take a medical history from her?
I assume Jason did.
Okay. Did you learn the results of that medical history?
You'd have to refer to Jason's report.
I'm actually going to show you 2 documents with your permission. One would be Jason's report.
Okay.
And you were talking about Jason Becker, correct?
Correct.
The other is a police report from Sergeant Yuri Buchnick. I'm going to give you the second page of that.
Okay. So let's do them one at a time.
Sure. And you've asked for Jason Becker's report, so I'll give you that first, okay?
Okay.
And when I approach you, I'm going to hand this to you, and I just ask you to look at it silently by yourself.
Okay.
And then look up at me when you're done.
Okay. The first report was the NFIRS report from my lieutenant.
Was Jason Becker's report included in it?
Yes.
As well? Having reviewed those documents, does that refresh your memory as to the medical history that was taken?
Yes.
And what can you tell us about that?
Just lists multiple sclerosis.
What is multiple sclerosis?
Neurodegenerative disease where the myelin sheathing of the, trying to think of the word here, but.
I don't mean to put you on the spot.
I understand.
I'm sure you do. It's a disease.
It's a disease that's progressive and has neurological muscle control things involved with it.
And when you say progressive, that means it gets worse over time as you age?
As I understand it.
And that was the medical history you got from Karen Reed?
Correct.
So now this is the comparison, cross-examination of Whitley in trial number 2.
It's two that you were heading to Fairview Road for what is called a Section 12, correct?
We were dispatched for a Section 12, correct?
Right. And that was not your first call for a Section 12, right?
No.
You had been in that job since 2006?
Yes.
You've handled a number of them over the years, correct?
Correct.
The fact that the call came in as a Section 12 gave you some idea of the nature of the issue that you might be dealing with, correct?
We had an idea that it was for a psychological issue, correct?
Right. It told you that somebody at that location was suspected of being in some type of either psychiatric or emotional distress, correct?
Yes.
There was nobody lying in the front lawn of 34 Fairview at that time, correct?
Correct.
Did you ever see the homeowner come out of his house?
I wouldn't have known the homeowner.
Wait. He paused, and then he was like, I don't know the homeowner. He didn't answer the question. The question was, did you see the homeowner come out of his house? The answer would have been yes or no. He's like, I don't know the homeowner. My spidey sense is tingling.
Ever see anybody exit the house?
I was not focused on the house at all.
All right. You were there to do a job, correct?
I was there to take somebody to the hospital.
Right. And you were there also to do a medical or psychiatric assessment while you were on scene, correct?
Well, yes, my partner was. Correct.
All right. You knew going there that your patient would have been Karen Reed, correct?
No.
Okay. When you got there, you learned your patient was to be Karen Reed, correct?
Yes.
All right. And given the nature of
Why
the
is he
call,
hesitating?
You knew when you arrived that you would be transporting her to the hospital, correct?
Correct.
One of the first things that you tried to do was to get a medical history from her, correct?
Or my partner.
All right. And you were present for that, correct?
I may or may not have been.
Getting a medical history is important so that you can pass along information to the hospital when you eventually arrive there with the patient, correct?
Yes.
And you know that when assessing and treating somebody, getting more information is always better than getting less information, correct?
Not necessarily.
Oh my God.
So there are times when you'd like to get less information
Really?
from the patient before you transport them?
So it would be pertinent information. For instance, if somebody was complaining of chest pain and they had, stents placed in their heart, we wouldn't talk about how they had their tonsils removed when they were 12.
Okay, fair enough. But getting more information is not going to negate the crucial information that you do get, correct?
It certainly could in a critical stage. If there was a critical patient, we wouldn't typically overburden passing off a report to a nurse or a doctor with non-pertinent information.
Okay. It's not your testimony that getting less information is always better than getting more information, is it?
I would say getting pertinent information is better than having...
That wasn't my question. My question
Can't answer
was,
the question.
Is it your testimony that getting less information is always better than getting more information, sir?
I would not agree with that, no.
Okay.
He's like a little mini Guarino. He's like, no, I cannot answer your questions in a straight fashion. I have to give them my own answer because I'm incapable of telling the truth. And I can't be succinct and direct because that will compromise my integrity as a liar. That's a hell of a statement. Pat yourself on the back, Larry.
Sir, the medical testimony, history that your partner and you took from Ms. Reed listed that she suffered from multiple sclerosis.
This is
correct?
still trial number 2.
And you know that that's a chronic disease of the central nervous system?
It's my understanding.
And what does chronic mean?
I believe
Lifelong?
Any disease lasting more than a certain amount of time. It could be 2 years, 3 years, 4 years.
Persists for a long time
Long
or
time.
constantly recurs?
Correct.
And it's a disease that affects neurological muscle control, correct?
That's my understanding.
And last question, it's also a progressive disease, which means it tends to get worse over time.
My understanding.
When you first interacted with Karen Reed after you got to 34 Fairview and encountered that whole scene, it was clear to you that a major focus for her was whether John O'Keefe was alive or dead, correct?
Correct.
She asked if somebody could survive after having been found in the snow without a jacket, correct?
For many hours, correct.
All right. And you mentioned something about hypothermia, that you assumed that you may have been dealing with a hypothermia situation from earlier, correct?
Well, she said that he had been out in the snow with no jacket on for many hours.
And you assumed hypothermia was your testimony, correct?
Yes.
You are not qualified to diagnose hypothermia, are you?
I'm not a doctor.
Okay. And you don't know if your assumption about hypothermia was correct or incorrect, correct?
Is my assumption correct?
My question is that as you testify here today, after having dropped off Karen Reed at the hospital for that Section 12, you don't know if the assumption that you made that you were dealing with a hypothermia situation was correct or not. Is that right?
Well, they were certainly working on him at the hospital.
That's not
as a
the
hypothermia
question.
patient.
Well,
You don't know if
yes.
your assumption was
Just
correct
answer
or
the
not,
question.
sir.
No,
I
you
guess I
don't.
don't.
There you go.
You
Good
told her,
boy.
in fact, that you could not speak to that, correct?
I'm sorry, to what?
In terms of how long somebody could survive outside, correct?
I couldn't speak to his condition is basically what I was trying to say to her.
All right. But she still persisted in asking you over and over if he was alive or dead, correct?
Correct.
She wouldn't let that go. Is that fair to say?
Correct.
And that was despite your not being able to give her an answer, correct?
Again, we were just trying to sort of give her any hope.
All right. Now, today you claimed that her demeanor had changed when you mentioned Kerry Roberts, correct?
Correct.
And the term that you used to describe her demeanor when you mentioned Kerry Roberts as being part of a support system, what term did you use?
I'm sorry.
When you just testified on direct examination, did you characterize the way that she reacted when you mentioned Kerry Roberts?
She had been
Did you forget your lie, paramedic? Did you forget your lie, Whitley?
crying in her hands, and I said, you know, it looks like you have a very strong support system. And she picked up her head. She had her face in her hands. She picked up her head out of her hands, looked at me, and said, "Do you know Kerry Roberts?" And I said, "Matter of fact, I do." And she said, "Anybody who knows Kerry Roberts wouldn't say that about her."
Okay. And you've
Oh, so even at the time of John O'Keefe's death, Karen Reed already knew Kerry Roberts of being a demon and not a friend. She already knew that Kerry is a slippery fish. Now she has also admitted to lying to the grand jury, and we have sworn testimony of her lies. We'll see if any perjury charges will follow, but the problem is, who has to file those perjury charges? Morrissey and his gang of lackeys. Brennan and Lally and the rest of the lot of them. So those perjury charges are never gonna flow. Why? Because they're protecting one another. So perjury schmergery, you know, ARCA witnesses, oh my God, we got the report there and we didn't get the report here, and they got paid there and they didn't get paid here. Destroy them! Kerry Roberts commits perjury. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Who cares? I mean, come on, it's just a murder trial. It's not anything serious.
previously described that in testimony last year as her being snarky was the term you used, correct?
Correct.
But you were first interviewed by the police on February 8th of 2022, correct?
If that's what the report says, yes.
About 10 days after this?
About that.
And the events of January 29th were fresh in your mind on February 8th of 2022, correct?
As fresh as they are today.
You do not allow that your memory was better on February 8th of 2022 regarding January 29th of 2022. It wasn't better on February 8th than it is today, is your testimony.
I would feel it's just as good.
Okay.
Wow.
Your memory does not get better over time, correct?
For this case, it seemed to stick out to me.
Wait. So your memory does not get better over time. Well, no, this sticks out to me. And fill in the rest of that statement. Well, because I've been following the Jennifer McCabe timeline that we've been working on. So no, I'm really good on the facts. I'm good. Thank you for asking, though. Interesting.
Are you testifying that your memory gets better over time?
No, but
That would be crazy, wouldn't it?
correct.
In that February 8th, 2022 interview, you were asked about Kerry Roberts, right?
I'm sorry, what day?
February 8th of 2022.
Okay.
You were asked about Kerry Roberts, right?
I do not recall if I was or was not.
You told the police that you knew Kerry Roberts from your neighborhood, correct?
Okay, yes.
And you've testified today that she just lived 200 yards away from you, right around the corner, right?
About that.
And you told police that you had seen Kerry Roberts on scene at 34 Fairview when you got there, correct?
Correct.
You also told police that Karen Reed, had told you about making statements about her wanting to die, correct?
Correct.
But on February 8th of 2022, just 10 days after these events, you never mentioned to the police during that interview that Karen was snarky in any way, correct?
I don't know if I did or I didn't. I don't know if it would be in their report.
So you're making up testimony. Is that what you're saying, paramedic / firefighter? Is that what you're saying? You're saying you made up this testimony because this is the first time we're hearing about it. Inconsistencies galore continue. By the way, don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you get more of these videos.
After that interview, and of course even after January 29th of 2022, you went back to your neighborhood, the same neighborhood that you lived in with Kerry Roberts, correct?
Correct.
Do you still live in that neighborhood? Does Kerry Roberts still live there?
She does.
So you and Kerry Roberts have continued to live in the same neighborhood for years after January 29th, correct?
We have.
And
Wow.
before you ever encountered Karen Reed that day, you had interacted with Kerry Roberts in the past, correct?
Briefly, yes.
Well, you were both on the same neighborhood Facebook page, were you not?
Yes, that's why I volunteered to bring the fire truck to the
Right.
block
So
party.
one time she had posted on that neighborhood Facebook page that she wanted to have a fire truck at the neighborhood block party, correct?
Correct.
And that's when you replied and volunteered that you would bring the fire truck to that block party as she
Oh,
correct?
God.
And you also worked with Kerry Roberts on the Ponkapog Civic Association, did you not?
I did not know. She worked on the board prior to my arrival on the board.
So you both worked on the same board, but just at different times.
Different times, correct.
We had, I think you had touched on this earlier, in addition to knowing Kerry Roberts, having been with the Canton Fire Department since 2006, there have been many times when you've worked in conjunction with the police, correct?
Correct.
And in addition to the two police officers that you mentioned having seen at 34 Fairview on January 29th, that being Seraph and Merlaney, you know many other officers at the Canton police station.
I do.
And as you say, Canton's a small town, correct?
Relatively.
People know each other, correct?
Correct.
You also knew former state trooper Michael Proctor before you arrived.
I
at
love this
34 Fairview,
former.
correct?
I did.
Michael Proctor actually was 2 years ahead of you in school, was he not?
He was.
And you learned at some point that...
Oh, wow.
your-
I love how Yannetti is showing the jury that this is such a small, tight-knit community where everybody knows everybody, and the fathomability that this is all a conspiracy to try and spin their narrative because they're all friends and they're all connected. They went to school together. They live blocks away from one another. This is going to be the theme. This is how they're going to tie it in. The burden is removed. They're not saying Karen Reed was framed anymore. They're saying there was no collision. There was collusion. But that comes later. The jury has to come. Their job, the defense's job, is to say there was no collision because that's a fact. Let the jury pick up the pieces and say there was no collision. There was collusion. Holy crap. Talk about a theme for the case. If I was the defense, that's what I would do. I think I just came up with a brilliant one. This is the closing. There was no collision. There was collusion. Oh, what a theme. Try to dismantle that, Brennan.
Classmate Michael Proctor was the lead investigator into the death of John O'Keefe, this case, correct?
Yes.
And in fact, when you spoke to the police in February of 2022, Michael Proctor was one of the troopers to interview you, correct?
Correct.
Your high school
You
buddy.
did not go to school with Karen Reed, right?
No, not to my knowledge.
You didn't help coordinate neighborhood block parties with Karen Reed, right?
Nope.
You were not in a civic association that Karen Reed belonged to at any point, correct?
Nope.
She was a stranger to you on January 29th, 2022, correct?
She was a patient of mine, yes.
Well, as far as you know, she
Stranger.
was an outsider to Canton, correct?
I did not know that.
You didn't live in the
Yeah,
same
you did.
neighborhood with her?
I'm not sure if we did or did not.
You had no personal contact with her either before or after January 29th of 2022, correct?
No.
All right. You had just testified that you said at times she was upset and crying when she got in the ambulance, correct?
Correct.
You testified on April 21st of 2022 before the grand jury, did you not?
I did.
And that was 3 months after the events that you're testifying about today?
Roughly.
And your memory back then was fresh, was it not?
Yes.
And you were asked the question, once she was in the back of the ambulance and she agreed voluntarily to go to the hospital, did she appear to calm down at that point? Do you remember that question?
I do.
And your answer was, she wasn't arguing against us at that point. Once she, agreed to come with us voluntarily, she was still upset, crying, and talking on the phone. Do you remember that answer?
I do.
All right. You didn't mention in that answer that it was only at times that she was crying and upset, correct?
But no.
Okay. The whole time, from beginning to end, Ms. Reed was constantly worried about John, was she not?
Sustained.
You recall that she was on the phone at one point speaking to someone that she called Papa, correct?
Correct.
Did you later learn that Papa was John O'Keefe Sr.?
I am just learning that just now.
And in any case, you heard her say to Papa, is he dead? He's dead, isn't he?
Sustained.
You could hear
Oh, so that
on the
hearsay
other
is
end of the line that Papa was saying something to her, correct?
The objection sustained.
May I approach? Mr. Whitley, yesterday you testified that when Karen Reed was brought to the hospital, she didn't want to get into a hospital Johnny and she didn't want to give a urine sample. Do you recall that testimony?
I do.
It was clear to you that her reluctance to cooperate at that time was because she very much wanted to check on John's progress and status at the hospital, correct?
No, I don't believe that to be the case.
Well, you testified before the grand jury regarding this matter 3 years ago, didn't you?
I don't believe I said that she was the.
I didn't ask you that question. You testified before the grand jury 3 years ago, didn't you?
I
Yes.
testified before the grand jury 3 years ago.
There you
were
go.
under oath then, as you're under oath
Yes.
today, correct?
Yes.
You swore to tell the truth.
Yes.
I am telling the truth.
No, that's not.
You swore
Answer the
to
question.
tell the truth in 2022 before the grand jury, did you not?
Yes.
That was less than 3 months after you brought Karen Reed to the hospital, didn't you?
Yeah.
And your memory of what happened at the hospital was very good in April of 2022, right?
As good as today.
Your memory in April
my
of
God.
2022 was very good, wasn't it?
It was very good.
So what, if any, interaction did you have with her, meaning Ms. Reed, at the hospital once you were there? And your answer was, after that, I helped escort her down to, they call it the psych hallway, where they have rooms set up for psychiatric patients for their evaluation. And then she was unhappy that she wasn't able to see him, meaning John. And she kept trying. She didn't want to get into a hospital Johnny. She didn't want to, I believe, give a urine sample. She was not, the nurses were asking her to do certain things that every patient has to do, and she was not cooperating with them. Do you remember that answer?
I do.
So 3 years ago, when you testified about this issue of giving a urine sample, you testified under oath that you believed that she didn't want to give a urine sample, correct?
Correct.
Yes, 3 years later, you testified with certainty that you didn't want to give them, right?
Your answer changed.
Yeah, she was giving them a hard time about having to give a urine sample.
Right. No, I'm asking you about your testimony
Yes.
yesterday in contrast to the grand jury, sir.
You
I'm
lied.
going to ask yes or no question. I'd like yes or no answers. Starting at the end of the day, when I cross-examined you yesterday, I asked you about that topic, and I said to you, you mentioned something about hypothermia, that you assumed you may have been dealing with a hypothermia situation, and your answer was, well, she said that he had been out in the snow without a jacket for many hours, correct?
Correct.
But before I cross-examined you at the end of the day yesterday, you previously testified 3 times about this topic, correct?
I believe it would be the grand jury and the previous trial.
Right.
Oh, whoa, 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 buddy. What just happened? Are you serious? Are you serious? Are you serious? He just brought in the previous trial. The jury now knows, or at least suspects. Oh my God, what a monkey. Oh my God, this is gonna tip off some jurors that the previous jury in this case could not decide. If there's at least one juror on that panel who has served on a jury before and they know there's such a thing as a mistrial when jurors can't decide. Oh my God, I wanna hear this part again. This is bad for Brennan. Really, really, really bad. And excellent for the defense. Wow. Okay,
But
let's
before
watch
I
it again.
cross-examined you at the end of the day yesterday, you previously testified 3 times about this topic, correct?
I believe it would be the grand jury and the previous trial.
Right. And direct examination when Mr. Brennan was asking you questions before I stood up, correct?
Okay, yes.
What a
Start with
dummy.
the first time that you testified about this topic back in 2022. That was, again, less than 3 months after you had a conversation with Ms. Reed at the scene on January 29th, correct?
Correct.
Her statements and questions to you at the scene were fresh in your mind in April of 2022, correct?
Correct.
In April of 2022, before the grand jury, Mr. Lally asked you, quote, what, if any, questions did she ask you regarding hypothermia? Do you remember that question?
I do.
Your answer was, she was just wondering if he could have survived outside in the cold even though he didn't have a jacket on. Do you remember giving that answer?
I do.
Nowhere in that answer, in 2022, less than 3 months after these events, do you attribute the words, quote, many hours, end quote, in the snow to Ms. Reed, correct?
Yes, I was not.
I'm not asking
Ah,
for
da,
an
da, 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 da.
explanation, sir. I'm asking for an answer.
All right, so he was answering you, Mr.
My
Yannetti.
question called for a yes or no
Correct.
answer. Nowhere in
Answer
your
yes
answer
or
in
no.
2022 do you attribute the words many hours in the snow to Ms. Reed. Yes or no?
No.
No, I did not. Say
Okay,
that at that
thank
point.
you. Next question.
Nowhere in your answer in 2022
He's getting very, very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable.
No, I did not say that at that point.
Nowhere in your answer in 2022 do you testify that Ms. Reed told you he had actually been in the snow for many hours, correct?
She did at that.
Sir, I'm asking you about your testimony.
So let him answer the question.
Let me ask it again.
The, see, here's the thing. He is trying to weasel his way out of it by saying, this happened later. But Yannetti's not letting him get away with it. No. I'm asking you about a narrow time frame. I'm asking you about April 2022. I'm not asking you about subsequent hearings because your testimony has changed. That's the next question. Are you lying then or are you lying now? Impeachment. Like I said, it's going to be a theme in this case. Obviously. Impeach, and impeach some more, and then impeach, like, beat it like a dead horse. No reason to stop at all. Why? Because that's how the defense is going to win this case. So, knowing that, Yannetti is trying to lock him in. Just admit what I'm asking you because I am asking you to admit the truth. And he keeps trying to weasel away. And Brennan is trying to help him. And the judge is trying to help him. Yannetti is in it completely by himself. He's fighting 3 people. The judge, the prosecutor, and the witness at the same time. That, folks, is power right there. That's power. To be able to say no to 3 people and say, I am busy here. Do you understand? I have questions to ask, and you will give me the answer. Do you understand? Judge Bev, Mr. Brennan, and Mr. Whitley. Capiche? Thank you.
In your answer, in 2022, did you testify that Ms. Reed told you he had actually been in the snow for many hours, correct?
In 2022, I testified that I was just told to be brief.
See, more excuses. He's trying to find, he's fishing. He's like, how do I excuse the lie? How do I excuse the lie? I was told to be brief. And I didn't. He's looking, he's fishing, and he looks so bad. He doesn't understand even how bad he looks to the jury. The jury does, at this point, the jury doesn't believe a single word that he is saying. Mark my words. I've seen this before with my own juries. This is a witness that the jury is looking at, and they're like, dude, just answer the question. Just answer it. And he's like, I was told to be brief, and his eyes darting all the way around the room. He's searching within the recesses of his mind. How do I answer the question without admitting perjury? Without admitting guilt, without admitting that I lied? It's impossible. But he's trying.
Generalizations. She quantified many hours in the snow when we were back at the
Let me try this again, sir.
So, Ms. Giannetti, you're just saying 2022. Get to a date
Of course,
and a
yes.
place.
April of 2022, okay? Before the grand jury.
It's so frustrating.
My question again, and I'm still seeking a yes or no answer from you, okay?
I love this.
Nowhere in your answer, in April of 2022, before the grand jury, did you testify under oath that Ms. Reed told you that John had actually been in the snow for many hours, correct?
Not in 2022 of April, no.
Okay.
There you go.
The next time you
Good
testified
boy.
under oath was last year in 2024, correct?
Correct.
During that testimony, Mr. Lally asked you, oh, by the way, so 2022 is no mention of many hours, right?
I did not, and I was told to be brief on the grand jury stand.
But again,
Not my question.
no mention of many hours in 2022. Okay. Now, 2024, last year.
He needs to wet his beak because his throat's getting dry. Like, am I in trouble here? Am I about to be roasted alive on national television in front of tens of millions of eyeballs on this?
Mr. Lally asked you, so Firefighter Whitley, at some point, specific to your conversations with the defendant, Ms. Reed, can you describe sort of her demeanor or any observations you made in relation to that as you were speaking with her? And your answer was, yes. She was very upset. She kept asking if there was any chance. She kept asking us if we knew if the person Ambulance 1 had transported was alive or dead, and we could not speak to that. She asked if somebody could be alive in the snow without a jacket for many hours, correct?
Correct.
So 2022, there was no mention of many hours. 2024, over time, now that's the first time that you
Testimony
mentioned
changed.
the words many hours in your testimony regarding this case, correct?
Correct.
Right?
No, notice the quick glance at the jury. Correct. Am I in trouble? Are they onto me? It's that quick little scan that narcissists do in order to ascertain, and it's very quick. It's very brief. You don't need to be staring at them for a long time. It's just a quick, see if you caught it. Go back a few seconds and see if you understand what I'm talking about. It's very common. You'll see a lot of witnesses do the same move. It's the quick scan. How are my lies landing? Are they believing me or are they not believing me? Do I need to up the ante or are we good? That's what narcissists do.
When you testified last year, you testified still that she was asking you a question about surviving in the snow, correct?
Correct.
So then we come to yesterday on direct examination. Do you recall that Mr. Brennan yesterday asked you, before you left, were you having any conversations with the defendant, and you answered yes? Recall that yesterday?
Is that at the hospital?
I'm asking you yesterday, do you recall Mr. Brennan asking you, before you left essentially the scene, were you having any conversations with the defendant? And your answer was yes.
You're talking about Lee.
Oh my God.
I'm just trying to make sure we're talking about the same instance. Are we talking about when we left the hospital, or when we left Fairview Road?
When you left Fairview
This
Road,
man is trying to play like he's dumb, like he doesn't understand. But the reality is, every time he's being asked a question, because he needs to fabricate an answer, all he's doing is buying time. When he re-asks, his mind is doing a dual purpose. He's asking a question robotically, and then in his mind, he's like, okay, so how am I going to answer this? What is the correct verbiage that I need to use in order to answer this question? It's very sadistic, and it's very obvious. Like, I don't think, does he really think that he's fooling everyone? Like, I want to know honestly. Does firefighter, what's his name, Whitley? Does firefighter Whitley honestly and sincerely believe that anyone is buying this BS? That's what I want to know. Because I certainly am not. And I highly doubt the jury is, especially after this guy has been completely disassembled right in front of the jury's eyes. And he has to keep it going. He can't just suddenly change his testimony, because then it'll be even worse. This is why lying doesn't get you anywhere. This is just unbelievable, folks. That's absolutely unbelievable.
leaving Fairview Road. We're talking about the same subject of what Ms. Reed supposedly told you or asked you. Okay? Mr. Brennan went into that with you.
So on the way to, you're talking on the way to the hospital in terms of left. When we left.
Well, before you left. He meant before you left the scene.
Okay,
when
no,
you
I'm
were-
just trying to clarify.
Again, it's the same conversation, Mr. Whitley. I'm not
So,
trying to trick you.
Mr. Yannetti, he just asked for a point of reference. It's clear. No go.
Understood. And Mr. Brennan said, can you share with the jury what those conversations were about? And your answer was, so we were talking, she was upset. She kept asking if there was any chance her husband could be alive, even sitting outside in the snow without any coat for many hours. Do you recall that answer that you gave yesterday on direct examination?
Yes.
Dude, it hasn't been since January of 2022 that you've given this answer. You gave this answer yesterday. And by the way, if you need a trial lawyer, we have trial lawyers standing by, 1-844-774-HURT. Don't forget to call us if you need help.
And that was the first time that you mentioned that she said, supposedly, or asked supposedly, about him sitting outside in the snow, correct?
I was just using phrases generally speaking.
Not my question.
I wasn't at that point I was paraphrasing. I was not speaking verbatim to what she said.
Let's try that again. That was the first time that you mentioned that she claimed or asked that he was sitting outside, correct?
It could have been sitting, laying, being.
Let's try it a third time.
Oh my God.
Just ask the question, not let's try it.
Sure.
Let's try.
No, but that's what he's doing. He's trying a third time. This freaking judge, I swear. The side comments, I understand. You don't like them. That's a you problem, Bev. The reason Yannetti is saying that is because he wants to let the jury know that this witness is being uncooperative when Yannetti is asking Paramedic Whitley simple, basic, elementary, rudimentary questions, and he's refusing to answer. Like I said, he's like a mini Guarino.
Was that the first time that you testified under oath that Ms. Reed said or asked about him sitting outside?
Are you asking me to clarify whether she used
I'm
the
not
word
asking you
sitting?
to clarify anything. I'm asking you whether that was the first time yesterday during direct examination that you mentioned that she asked about him sitting outside.
I'm sorry. I am very confused because I'm trying to figure out if you're.
I quit.
if
I'm
he was
leaving.
Being outside, sitting outside.
I'm asking you about Ms. Reed's statement.
I swear to God.
That's all I've been asking you about. Her
Okay.
statements to you and your testimony about her statements to you. Was yesterday on direct examination the first time that you testified under oath that Ms. Reed mentioned the words sitting outside?
I don't know.
All right.
I'm just using. She might have said laying outside, being outside, outside.
Okay, so when you testified yesterday before this jury
Yes.
You lied.
that she mentioned the words sitting outside, you're now saying that that might not have been accurate.
Ah.
It could have been a different word.
Okay.
Oh, so
But
you lied.
didn't say it could have been a different word yesterday. You just left it as sitting outside, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're admitting that you lied. Thank you very much, Paramedic Whitley. No further questions. We're done here, as Yannetti would say. Oh, when he said that to McCabe, that was amazing. That was my favorite part. If you haven't seen it, by the way, go check out our playlists. We have so many videos, and they're all about this trial. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. But, God, this man is relentless. I swear to God. He cannot answer simple, basic questions, and it's so frustrating. It's so annoying. Yannetti, props to him for powering through this. We compared, you know, the testimony of Whitley from trial number 1 to trial number 2. Next, we are going to do the Camarenos, the husband and wife. It should be a fairly short and sweet video. This one was a little bit lengthier, but we're going to continue premiering the Guarino series. It should conclude tomorrow, I think, by my calculation. And then we'll move on to none other than, you guys asked for it, and I'm going to deliver. We're going to do Trooper Paul. Folks, I am going to be doing 2 videos in a short, God willing, every single day. You're going to receive 3 videos every day, starting Sunday, April 27th, which was 2 days ago. So God willing, we're going to keep this train going. I'm really excited to see this trial continuing to unfold. We already talked about Catherine Peters and her insane blunders. Maybe things have already happened at the recording of this video. I'm recording this in different days, so I may have information that I know or I may not be privy to at the time of the recording of this video, so I do apologize if I didn't cover something. Like, Larry, how did you not talk about this? This happened an hour ago. Well, that's because the video may have been recorded the day before, so it's just the way the cookie crumbles. I have to make sure that I have content. I'm more concerned about getting content out to you guys so you have something to watch than I am about making sure it gets recorded on the same day, because I'm a busy guy. I have a law firm to run. I have money to recover for you all. So give me a call if you want money from your case, you know, accidents, whatever, 1-844-774-HURT. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, everybody.